Alam, you there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Jan, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Cool, cool. All right, man. If y'all could do me a favor here, let me see something real quick. This is not. I want to go to gallery or speaker. I want to do this. Trying to get this view correct. And right now, it's not correct. iPad. Who is that? That's you, Jan?
Yeah, that's me.
All right. Let's see. I wonder what it's supposed to be my screen on the big screen. Let's see. Gallery there. All right. Well, I am the speaker, and I'm not quite understanding why I'm not on the screen. You guys see me only though?
Yeah.
Are you able to?
Yeah.
Are you able to see each other as well?
Yeah.
We're just trying to do something a little bit different for recording's sake. But it seems like it's not doing what I'm intending for it to do. We'll see how it turns out. Maybe on the record it'll be right. So we'll take our chances, man. But good morning. How y'all feeling?
Pretty good yourself?
I'm great, man. I feel good. Can't complain at all. The sunshine is out, so man, I feel amazing. Got a chance to enjoy some of it over the weekend. How about y'all? Did y'all get an opportunity to get out in it?
Little.
A little bit?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, man. Y'all get a chance to get into that material. You guys get a chance to get into any other chapter 1 material?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Kind of give me an idea of what you got, how far you guys were able to get, in the content, in the assignments, and things like that.
I got through all of it.
Okay, word.
Yeah.
Okay, congratulations to you.
Hey.
How about you, Jan?
I got to halfway. I still got some to go.
Okay, perfect, man. And the reason why I'm asking, because I want to make sure that I'm not being, like excessively repetitive when it comes to I want to make sure that I review all the information in each chapter. But I just need to know kind of how in depth I need to go based on how far you guys have gotten so far. Certain chapters I won't go as in depth because a lot of the material will go deeper into once you guys get to the building. And then others, I'm gonna get into it, pretty thoroughly, because I want to make sure that you guys get an early grasp on it. And so, as far as barber history goes, like this first chapter, this is something that we won't revisit as much as we'll revisit like the hands-on techniques and some of the science chapters and things like that. So I'll spend a little bit more time today on barber history because I know that we won't be coming back to it much. There'll be times where I will, pull up a video or have a conversation about something in particular when it comes to barber history or even current times in barbering. But most likely, this is our first go round, and we're gonna get as much into it as possible because we got so much more that we need to study. not to say barbering history is not, important, because it is extremely important, and valuable for the student barber to understand, where we come from, the long distance in which we've come from. I think it's very important, as you move forward to have that understanding. So it's like so you know what you're a part of, right? I think it's very important for us to know as barbers what we are a part of. It's like Miss Lane says, it's a sacred craft that's been around for since the beginning of time, pretty much. And I think that's something that we should hold, at high esteem. So yeah, man, we're gonna get into it. Was there anything that you guys went over that may have that brought up any questions that you guys took notes on any other material that you went over so far? No? Y'all good? Hello?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
we're
pretty.
good.
Okay, y'all good? Okay, cool. All right, man. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna get through all the material as much as we can within this time frame. We have until till 12:30 to get through it. And so, like I said, as the weeks progress, you guys will see how it kind of plays out. Um, we'll go through the chapter, we'll highlight some things, like Ms. Lane said in the orientation. Make sure as you go through the chapters that you take notes. If there's any aha moments or just any areas within any chapters or subject matter that you guys like, what, I want to talk about this a little bit more, or I have some questions about this. Make sure to take note of that and bring them up, during these study sessions. I'm gonna always talk about topics and chapters, but I want to get some stuff from you guys. I'm always ask you guys questions as well, but anything that you that sparks your interest specifically, make sure that you take note and bring that to the table also. All right, so barber history, man. First and foremost, I want to get you guys' opinion of some of the things that you learned, man, as you went through the chapter. Anything specific stand out to y'all?
That there were barber surgeons.
Yeah,
That was shocking to me.
yeah, that's a big one, man. And it's one of those things that a lot of people don't know about. I mean, there's a lot about the barber craft that the majority of people don't know about, but that's a significant one for sure. The fact that we were trusted with that, even with the most limited education in that particular field, we were trusted to do surgeries, man. I think if as you read a little further, you may have seen that it started to get a little bit out of hand because of the education was not what it needed to be in that particular field. More harm was starting to be done than positive or helping people. Um, they weren't necessarily remedying situations. They were sometimes making situations worse just because they didn't have the proper education or the proper like tools, the proper medicines and things like that to make sure people was all right. But yeah, barber surgeons, man, we definitely was in that lane. Anything else come up?
When they were talking about the war and then how they were pulling other guys' beards down as a tactic. I
Yeah,
was like, really? You pulling
yeah,
the
that's a
man's
cold.
beard to gain an advantage?
Yeah, cold maneuver, man. I couldn't imagine being pulled off of a horse by my beard. You know, um, and the fact that that was something that they thought out and said, "Hey, grab him by the beard,"
Yeah.
yank him off the horse. That's just wild to me as well. I'm glad that Alexander the Great was able to make that adjustment. Say, "Hey, man, we about to shave these beards off," and it's crazy that in itself, was one of the momentum changers. That pushed them to turn things around and actually win that war. Just wow to think that that's how they was getting whooped on was because of the beard. Yeah, that's a big one for me too. When I learned about that, I was just like, man, that's wild. Yeah, and then from then on, shaving was the thing, right? That was kind of like the way that they show honor to the soldiers winning the war. They were like, all right, everybody go shave. You know, it was kind of like a sign of respect. Um, that they did that and went on to win the war. So yeah, that's wild how this is a trip to me, the reality, and even way back then, when one person does something like it's certain people that set trends. So like now, you have what we call influencers, right? But back then, that whole role was still the same. There was always one group or one person or one hierarchy of people that kind of set the tone for everybody. Even in the sense of something just like that, we growing beards, we wearing beards, or we going clean shaven. Um, and that's just how it's kind of been throughout history. It's like somebody is going to always kind of set the trend and set the tone for what majority of society does by ways of their looks. And, it stands true today. So, yeah. Anything else?
That
Just
the razors. Oh, go ahead.
just regarding back to the whole beard thing, that one guy that started growing the beard to cover the scars, and then everyone started growing out a beard again. That was
Yeah.
pretty cool. I mean,
Yeah.
it's realistic too. It's relatable. You can like, if you have like a scar, you can just grow out like a bushy beard and it covers it.
Right. Right. There's definitely so many different reasons why somebody might grow a beard, or so many different reasons why somebody might grow hair, grow their hair out. And like you said, to cover a scar or some type of blemish, that's definitely a reason why somebody might do it. But you see how just because he did that, was the influence for everyone else to start doing the same thing, And like, well, if he's doing it, then that must be the thing to do, right? And that happens still today, man. You see a particular, icon of sort, do something, and the next thing you know, you see everybody. So yeah, that's definitely styles are definitely they're taken on by those that people look up to most times. All right, they see a particular person with a style, and they're like, all right, that must be the style, or that's in style. So I'm gonna go ahead and rock that too. Yeah. And what was you about to say, Jan? You have had another one?
Oh no, I was just I just remembered that they had like razors made of like sharp stones.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah. Obsidian was one stone that was very popular. It was, that's a extremely hard stone that can withstand, all types of um, beating up and sharpening and whatever it took to get it sharp. So obsidian was definitely one that they used. Different shells was something that they used to make sharp and used to cut. Um, Also different bones and things like that, or I think it was like tendons of animals that they would use. I want to say the word was sinew. If
Yeah.
I say it right. Yeah, and so all different types of they're very resourceful. That's the one thing that I respect about barber history, is that the barber was very resourceful. And because of that, I feel like it came from within. Like it was, and I talked about in orientation how I felt like barbering was a gift that was given to me, as a young man. And I feel like over history, or just from the beginning of time, barbering was a gift that was given to whoever did it, right? And so if you looked at the very beginning of when barbering was kind of established, it wasn't known as barbering per se, but it was more of a ritual or a tradition that like the highest of respect. They were the ones that were put in position to actually do the cutting of hair, right? And so that itself, just kind of says that certain people were like ordained or chosen to be in place to do this. And I feel like today too, like barbering chooses people. You know, we may feel like we choosing barber, but I really feel like the craft chooses you. And if somebody, you know, chooses to come into barber and it's not for them and they haven't necessarily been chosen, it shows up really quick. Um, but yeah, man, we've been always been like the highest regard because I feel like we are dealing with a gift that's given from a higher power for sure. And so did you guys get to the part to where it talked about what was the purpose of removing hair?
Yeah, wasn't it like some spiritual reason regarding like they thought if like how would I say it, bad spirits, and then they would like cut it off to cleanse them in a way?
Exactly, exactly. And you know, that's something that they truly believe. Now, I don't know how realistic, you know, that is, but it was something that they believed in, and it definitely I feel like it empowered them, right? And it was something that they did on a regular basis. Um, and the thing what I like to relate it to is even today when somebody goes to a barbershop, right? Like they may not come in saying, you know, it's evil spirits or something like that that they're trying to remove, but you know, people definitely leave feeling better than they came most times, right? You know, you come in, you got the last 2 weeks on you, you know what I'm saying, or a month or however long it's been since you had your last haircut. And then you come and get that cut, man, and it's oftentimes a feeling that people can't describe. You know what I'm saying? But it's one of those you know, transitions from man, I'm removing these last 2 weeks and now I'm refreshed and renewed, ready to go back out there and do my thing, man. So I think there's power in that for sure. And they knew that way back then.
It's a nice reset.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Um, and that's why again we have to understand like as professionals what it is that we're really offering to people. What service are we really providing? Now, you know, to make someone look good and give the best, you know, cut or fade or style and all that, that's great. But just understanding like what was the original intent? You know, there was a like you said, a refresh, a reset, a renew, rejuvenation, all of that you know, is a part of what we do as well. And always has been. And so I find it important that, you know, for us to discuss this, you know, this type of barber history. So we don't just think it's a matter of, man, I just got to give this freshest fade or I got to give this freshest shave or I got to do this freshest style, which is definitely at the top of what we need to do. But we just need to understand like what shoes am I really standing in? You know what I'm saying? What responsibility came long before me when it came to this craft? And I feel to personally, I just feel like that empowers us that much more. You know, like I think it makes the creative part easier when we know that we really dealing with something that comes from, you know, I think a much higher power, bro. So yeah, been around a long time, and there's a whole lot of stuff that ain't been around, you know, or let's just say there isn't a whole lot of things that have been around as long as what we do has been around. And so I think that that says a lot too. Anything else?
Um,
I was gonna throw out this piece, man. That was kind of wild. You may not have read this one in the book, but we have some additional material that should be in Google Classroom for you guys. But it says those who cut hair were the ones with the highest authority among all social classes, the highest authority over all social classes. And so I like to point that one out because over time, people have, you know, not haven't looked as fondly, um, you know, to the barbers, right? They haven't looked as fondly upon what we do. I would say even over time, barbers themselves haven't looked as fondly over what we do. They haven't held, you know, the craft at the highest esteem as it should. But I, you know, every chance I get, I like to remind, especially the student barber and all barbers for that matter, like, man, we come from the upper echelon, you know what I'm saying, of social status. You know what I mean? And if we hold on to that, well, I'll just say the only way that we can stay there is if we hold on to that understanding. You know, like we not no craft, no profession to be looked down upon. You know, and so I like to instill that in you guys early because oftentimes, you know, as you go through this program or becoming, you know, a professional barber, not everybody is going to understand why you choose a barber. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it's the closest people to you that kind of have a wonder or what's the word I'm looking for? A doubt about what it is that you're doing. But just, you know, I like for you to know, like you're becoming part of something special, man. You know, so always keep that in the forefront of your mind. Even with yourself, man. If there ever comes any doubt or question, man, just know like you on your way to something great. Um, let's see. I think there's a few things that I wanted to point out here. Also, oh, as far as the what other things were associated with social status? How were people like uh categories? You know, when it came to social status, did you guys read into that?
The hair color of the women.
Yep, hair color was one. Um, just the actual hairstyle itself and the haircut. There were some times, you know, like in the Egyptian times, where like only certain profession wore certain styles, right? So you could easily, you know, point somebody out as to where they were in the, you know, in the social world based on the type of haircut they had. So, say for instance, I'll just throw a few out there. Say you had, you know, a ball fade. Say you had a shag haircut. Say you had, you know, maybe like a bob haircut or something like that. So only certain people were able to wear certain haircuts because that's how they, you know, were distinguished. So you couldn't like fake it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you were a blacksmith, then you wore, you know, them type of haircuts. You were a carpenter, you know what I mean? You worked them. It may not have been separated like that, but you get an idea of what I'm saying. If you were a judge or you know or something like that, then you may have wore a certain type of haircut. If you were of what's the word I'm looking for? If you were like a part of a royal family or something like that, right? Then you probably wore a different type of cut and style. So there was no way of getting around it or faking it if you were in a you know a different class, so to speak. So I thought that that was pretty tough. I don't know if you know today that doesn't really exist much, but that'd be a cold situation if it did. If they said, hey, if you make 250,000 or less, you gotta wear this type of haircut. If you make 500 or more, you gotta wear this type of haircut. That'd be a cold way to figure out how what people really had. Um, but yeah, that was one that stands out to me. Um, let's see. Anything else come to mind?
Wasn't there like the Maasai, or I don't remember the correct terminology, but he had like three braids in the front or three braids in the back and then like short up front. I'm not too sure what
What
it was.
which time frame?
Egyptian. I don't
And
know if
it,
it was a Maasai or something like that.
I want to say I know what you're talking about, but let me see if I can find it really quick. It was in the book, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh yeah, you know what? I was thinking about that. I think it was in the beard. He wore the three braids, right?
Yeah.
And it made me think about Dub C. You guys know who Dub C is?
I don't.
He was a rapper, man, from LA. He used to be with West Side Connection with Ice Cube and Mac 10, right? And so anyway, way back in the day, he used to always wear the three strand, you know, or the three bearded pieces, right? Or the three braided pieces, I'm sorry. And I said that wasn't by happenstance. You know what I'm saying? Like to him, it might have been, but or he might have studied it, who knows? But there was some, to me, there was some tribalness to that, right? Without him even knowing. there was a sign of power that came with that for him to do that. And again, he may not have known it, but a lot of things, man, they reproduce themselves through lineage, man, and without us even really realizing that's what we're doing. We just bring back, lineage that has been, in our DNA, for the most part, just over generations. They might skip generation, might skip a few generations, but a lot of those tribal, presence and just different acts of tribal recognition, it comes through. You know what I mean? I think that was one of them. Yeah. So I know, I remember what you're talking about. I was trying to find it in the book, but I didn't see it. Oh, there it is, right there. Yeah. Some African cultures' hair was groomed with intricately carved combs and decorated with beads, clay, and color. The Maasai warriors, for example, wore their front hair in 3 sections of tiny braids, and the rest of the hair in a queue down the back. That's what you were speaking of?
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, you guys will have to look up Dub C and see who I'm talking about. He was like famous for he was the first dude doing the crip walk, like in music videos and stuff. Okay, cool. We can keep going, man. Anything else come to mind? It's all good. So we gonna start at the top and just kind of talk about the origin of the barber pole and where that originated. And so one of you guys brought up barber surgeons, right? And so we got to that point of becoming barber surgeons, but on our way to that, we had a lot of other things that we did as well, right? And so they talked about barbers pulling teeth, and being dentists of sort. Barbers also will remove bullets, right? People would have gunfights and different things of that nature, or get shot with an arrow. Like the barber was the one to repair and remove those different injuries, right? Also, we practiced bloodletting. And so bloodletting was the act of so if you had any type of infection in a particular area, it was believed that by removing that infected blood in that area, right? So actually cutting open and letting the blood drain from that area would alleviate your body from that infection. While that might be a temporary thing, it was not a definite thing as far as healing goes, but it was a practice that took place during those times, and the barber also was responsible for that. It was somewhat of a phlebotomy, early phlebotomy practice, right? And so the barber had multiple responsibilities on top of, removing hair and doing shaves and things of that nature, right? And so we had a lot of responsibilities from the jump. We already previously talked about how there was a tradition associated with barbering and removal of hair, and also ritual as well for some people. And so only the trusted, the most highly respected, were put into places to do that. And also all the other things that I just spoke about. You had to really be somebody that people trusted in order to be cutting on folks, and removing blood and being the one to say, hey, I'm gonna help heal you from this infection. Even though, like I said, a lot of times that didn't always hold up. But I say that to say again that the barber is just that, a very trusted, and should be a very trusted and respected individual, at all times, because that's what we bring to the table. If we bring that to the table, which you should. And we're going to talk about that too. But yeah, man, we go back into all those different areas as we progressed in our profession, as we began to educate people on what it meant to be a barber. Things kind of changed. It took on a different look. Like you said, we went into the barber surgeon realm of things, right? Where we were given even more responsibility. And while that was cool, we know the results of that as well, man. There was a lot of people dying at the hands of, and I wouldn't say it was at the hands of barbers, but it was more so at the hands of the just the that wasn't our lane, right? We had a particular lane that we were proficient in, and they were just giving us other stuff that we could do because we were handy with sharp tools, right? Anything that was done with any type of sharp tools, the barber was pretty much given that responsibility to do.
Awareness.
So, excuse me. And so, again, high responsibility is the thing that I want to point out the most. The barber pole, the three colors. Did you guys first to start off with two and the pole itself? Do you guys recall where that originated from?
Yeah, so the white was the bandages, the red was the blood, and then they were unsure regarding the blue, whether it be like the veins or the just to be the American flag colors.
Yeah, and I'd have to say it was the veins. A
Yeah.
lot of people took it as the red, white, and blue matched the flag, but definitely represented the veins. So yes, you're 100% correct. What about the pole itself?
It was where the patient would grab onto to make it easier for the veins to pop out, right?
Exactly.
While the bloodletting's happening.
Yep. And then also, it was said that the bandages that were used during, the bloodletting and things like that, originally they had a pole, and so they would wrap the bandages on the pole or lay them on a pole, and they would, from the wind or whatever, they was outside. And so from the wind or whatever, they would wrap around the pole, and that's where you kind of got that swirl, around the pole, and then the red from the blood. And so it was originally red and white, and then they brought in the blue. Also, it said that the one of the basins, so it has a top and a bottom. You guys recall? Did you see anything in regards to that?
That's where like the blood would just drip, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And then one other part, and so with the infection and all of that, and they're trying to say, okay, boom, we can remove, this disease from a particular area. They used to actually have leeches, in certain areas, they would have leeches in that bottom or in that top basin. I believe it was the top, or it was the top basin. They would keep leeches in there, and they would put leeches on the areas, and have them suck the blood out of particular areas. And so that was a practice in some different, parts of the world as well. Leeches. I'm so glad they got away with it, got away from that, because that'd be terrible. For somebody to have to, go to the doctor and or the barber surgeon or even the barber shop and say, hey, we're gonna put these leeches on you to suck this disease out of you. Yeah, that's just wild. Glad they did away with that. So yep, that was the origin of the barber pole. Let's see. Who was one of the predominant figures in ancient history when it came to barber? There was one particular one that the book talked about.
A side AB molar.
Yes, it went far more ancient time than that.
The Sicilian. Was it him?
I believe you're talking about Tinius Mena.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. It was before him as well, but he was a intricate part of barber history as well. That he was credited with bringing shaving as a barber service. So at this time they were already doing barbering services for the masses. Like it had become barbering had become a thing that the average person could actually take part in. Whereas previously it was really only the people that could, I ain't gonna say afford it, but the people that were in the most highest levels of society. They were the ones who would get groomed and barbering service on a regular basis. So I was trying to go back to that one. But yes, Tinius Minna, he definitely was an intricate part of shaving in different barbering services. He brought them to Rome. Let's see here. The men of Rome soon enjoyed tutorial services such as shaves, hair cutting, and dressing, massage, manicuring on a daily basis, with a good portion of their day spent with the barber. So they would just hang out and spend the whole day. So again, with people that don't like spending time in the barbershop, you got those guys today that they want to be in and out. Like throughout time, the barbershop, it was a place that you would spend time in. You know what I mean? It wasn't a revolving door. It wasn't a quick in and out type of place. It was a place that you went and you spent a good, amount of time there. Things have changed quite a bit. People feel like they ain't got the time to do that, but I mean, it's been like that. It's been like that. Jans, you had something you was about to say? Okay. It says here too that while average citizens patronize the barber's place of business, rich noblemen engage private tonsors to take care of their hairdressing and shaving needs. And so that word tonsor, that's another word, for a barber, right? Or someone that cuts, right? So maybe there was a time when people felt like barbering was to just say I'm a barber was not broad enough, right? I don't just cut hair, but I do all these other types of services as well that involves grooming. And so that's where the word tonsor comes into play. And so you may hear a word tonsorial, right? Or tonsorial arts. And that would be the art of barbering and other grooming services. You don't really see that term as much anymore. But around the world, you might see different grooming and barber shops that have that name in it. Okay, the word barbe or barba, where did it originate from?
Latin beard.
Okay, exactly. And so when you think about that's where barber originated from. That's the prefix or where it started. Then it started from the word beard. But of course, we know that it's so much more than just the beard itself. To be a barber, of course, encompasses so much more. Let's see, what else do I want to touch on here? We talked about the Alexander the Great situation, which is wild. Let's see. Oh, let's not get the word tonsor and tonsure mixed up. If you guys saw that in the book, that was a particular type of hairstyle, the tonsor. This was in the Middle Ages. Let's see where that took place. Clergymen were the ones who were wearing this particular haircut. It was Rome as well. But you see that, I don't know if you have your book out. You got your book out? Alam, you're the only one that got a book, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know what haircut you're talking about. It's because I'm watching the show and it's the clergymen are wearing that haircut.
Yeah, that's wild, right?
Wow.
I would never. I don't know who decided that was the one. I think it's because it kind of resembled a halo. I think that was the. I would hope that that's kind of like the idea they were thinking about, but yeah. If anybody comes into the barbershop asking for that haircut, man, make sure that you have a conversation with them, understand what they're going through in their life at the time. Because for somebody to ask for that haircut, man, it has to be either a costume party that they're going to, or some type of acting part that they looking to get, or I can't think of any other reason, or they having a crisis in their life. I can't understand why anyone would desire that haircut these days. So make sure you have that conversation if somebody asks for that. Let's see. I'm gonna read this one out real quick, starting at the bottom of page 8. And it kind of just reiterates what I was talking about earlier, but it says the beliefs, rituals, and superstitions of early civilizations vary from one ethnic group to another, depending on the region and social interactions with other groups. There was a general belief among many groups that their clippings could bewitch an individual. Think about that. So if somebody could cut their hair, they felt like the clippings of the hair could bewitch another individual. Hence, the privilege of hair cutting was reserved for the priests. Or I'm not just going to say another individual, but it could bewitch that individual. So hence, the privilege of hair cutting was reserved for the priests, the medicine man, or the spiritual leader of the tribe, not to just be handled by anyone. According to the Greek philosopher Pythagoras, the hair was a source of the brain's inspiration. That's a fun fact right there. That hair was the source of the brain's inspiration. So if that was true, that would mean that if you didn't have any, you know what I mean, your inspiration was minimal, right? And so I would imagine certain tribes, and according to this gentleman, you would want to have as much hair as possible, right? Let's see what it goes on to say. And cutting it decreased the individual's intellectual capacity. Man, I'd have to say, I beg to differ, right? You see this right here? I haven't had none for a long time, but I still feel like my intellectual capacity is abundant. So he may have had, a thought back then, but I think we proved him wrong thus far. Let's see. The Irish peasantry believed that if hair cuttings were burned or buried with the dead, no evil spirits would haunt the individual while they are resting in peace. And so that's another fun fact. And I think that's one, you don't see that happening these days. But I can see where they would, believe something like that. There's so much that people believe about the afterlife, right? It's just amazing that hair would be looked upon in that fashion, right? To have such a strong power to it. It says here among the native tribes, it was believed that hair and the body were so linked that anyone possessing a lock of hair of another might work his will on that individual. So you guys have all heard, I'm sure, about voodoo, and the way voodoo works. And you get a strand or a lock of somebody's hair, and you build a little doll, and you can do what you want to do with that person. And I'm really just bringing that up today, man, just the power of hair, and how people looked at hair, how they looked at cutting hair, all those things. It says a lot about those responsible, for the removal of it, or the designing of it, or the styling of it, the maintenance of it, however you want to look at it. These people, man, were very, very important, and still are today, and that's us. Back then, like I said, it was the priest and the medicine man of the tribe and of society, the clergy, right? All the higher up folks. And while we don't hold those particular positions today, I truly believe a lot of what they encompassed, we still do encompass as professional barbers today, if we choose to. And I feel like, a lot of it is still our responsibility, to uphold. So keep that in mind as you guys are starting your journey to become a professional barbers. Just keep that in the forefront, of your path. Okay, let's see. Anything else stand out to you guys before I move on to what I will move on to? You good? Jan, you with us?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. There was one particular person though, or barber. I asked one that was, that stood out and was talked about, and that was Miramax. Did you guys read about him? He was an Egyptian barber.
That's the guy with the statue, right?
Right, exactly. And so he was one of the only, or if not the only, barber that was buried in a tomb, right, and had a statue in a tomb. Um, and I mean, they only buried the kings and the pharaohs and the highest up in a tomb, the most highly respected, got a tomb. And so for a barber to be placed in one says a whole lot, about this particular barber and the respect that this particular barber had. I'm gonna just read a little passage real quick. It just says the use of barbers by Egyptian noblemen and priests 6,000 years ago is sustained or substantiated by Egyptians' written records, arts, and sculptures. High-ranking men and women of Egypt had their heads shaved for comfort when wearing wigs and for prevention of parasitic infestations, which we'll talk about real soon. Every third day, barbers would have the priest's entire bodies, would shave the priest's entire bodies to ensure that their purity before entering the temple, to ensure their purity before entering the temple. Every third day, entire body shaved. Now, I can't say I would want that responsibility. I'm glad that Miramax had that respect, to do that. I wouldn't want to shave nobody's whole body. I don't know about y'all. Every 3 days on top of that. But that was his job. The work of the barber Miramax was apparently held in particularly high esteem as his image was sculpted for posterity. And so with that being said, are you guys familiar with the brand Tomb 45?
Yeah.
So that's the tomb that this statue was found in. And so they took that understanding, knowing that this was a highly respected barber that left he was a legend, to say the least, to the fact that they gave him they buried him in the tomb and showed him that type of respect. And so they built their brand off of that, which is actually pretty dope. And so I believe their tagline is Die a Legend. And so I thought that was a great, we talk about branding and having the story behind why you chose that name. I think that's super dope. So put that in your back pocket as well, because we will have, our strictly business, section of the program when we talk about branding. And that's just a, example of, I'd say, great branding, as far as bar brand goes. In business in general, that was good branding. Okay. Let's see. Let's go with talked about the barber surgeons. One thing that I thought was really cool as well, and also speaks to the respect of the barber throughout history. While we were brought to the table as barber surgeons, in that time, phased out to where they separated the surgeons and the barbers, they still allowed the barbers to be on the board that chose who would be surgeons. If you were qualified to be a surgeon, the barbers still had that much respect to where they said, okay, we're going to have you choose whether this person is qualified or not. They could have easily said, okay, we're only going to have the doctors or the medical scholars, make these choices. But they said, no, we're going to bring those that we've trusted to do this job to the table, as well as we make decisions about the future, of surgery and the future of the surgeons that'll be taking their places and things like that. So I thought that that was super dope as well. And again, the respect has always been there. And it is up to us to maintain that level of respect. Let's see. Also, the different barbers organizations that were established. You guys got a chance to read about those?
Yeah. What's the main difference? I couldn't really catch the gist. Isn't like the master barbers, one deals with like mostly like the employment side of things. That's what I really didn't. There's two. There's like the masters one, and then the associate of barbers or something like that.
Oh, you're in the master barbers group and the journeyman barber group, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I was speaking a little bit prior to that, but we could talk about that as well. And so, yeah, these were just employer organizations, right? And so, in order to be considered a master barber, um, there were organizations or a process in which you had to go through, right, and be qualified by this particular organization to be considered a master barber. And I imagine the difference between the two is a journeyman barber is one that can travel. If you're a part of that group, you could travel throughout the country, maybe even throughout the world, and practice the profession, right? If you're a part of that group. And I just feel like maybe the master barber part might have been more local to your area, or just a certificate to say that I've been qualified to be a part of this group. But so you figure like a journeyman, say a journeyman electrician versus a entry level electrician, right? That journeyman he's learned all. I guess a master would too, but the journeyman has learned all these, techniques and tools of the trade. Has an understanding of all the ins and outs of, being an electrician, and he's also put in the time. Right. So I'm a journeyman. I'll put in a certain amount of years. Right. So not only am I a master of it, but I've been at it for 30 years, and so I'm a journeyman. I could take this anywhere and do the job. That's my understanding of the separation. So like you can master a craft, but you don't become a journeyman like until, you put in a certain amount of time. But let's see what it says here. It says the formation of the employer organizations known as master barber groups and employee organizations known as journeymen was the first step towards upgrading and regulating the profession. During this area, emergence of growth of these organizations help establish precedents and standards that are part of today. So, according to the book, employer, that means that was the people that were actually going to bring you into the shop. And then the journeyman was formed by the barbers themselves. That's the separation that I see. So you had an employer group and you had an employee group.
I see.
So my theory that I just spoke on probably don't sit 100% with that. But I would think that would be the ideal theory. Like, the employees are able to say whether or not you're a journeyman or not. The employer is the one that classifies you as a master barber. But once you're a journeyman, that's like you can go anywhere. You don't have to certify me. I'm been certified type thing. So, but as far as Milady go, I believe it's just one was for employers and one was for the employees. Let's see. So I was gonna go back to a little bit before this, where it was talking about the barbers guilds, and then again that's back during the barber surgeon times. But they had the guild that was formed in London. The barbers company was ruled by a master and consisted of two classes of barbers: those who practice barbering and those who practice surgery. Um, and then let's see. Mm, They talked about the merge of the guilds, the company of barber surgeons. This was during 1450. This was, man, it's wild how long ago this was. Like we talk about ancient times, that's one thing, but even the organization that took place amongst barbering and the barber surgeon and all that was in like the 1400s, 1300s, man, 1100s. Like it's just, we've been here. You know what I mean? Our profession has been here and been through so many different levels, so many different chapters. Um, and I just feel like it's extremely important that we don't forget where we come from, man, because we're not the average profession by no means, and we only become the average if we choose to be. You know what I'm saying? But if we were, first we gotta know who we were, and then we can let other people know. Look, man, barbering, we come from this, and this. While today we may not do all those things, we are part of a heritage and a legacy, man, that's super strong. Um, and but the only way it stays respected is if we demand it and keep it alive. Um, let's see, where else? It says, with the advancement of medicine, the practice of bloodletting became all but obsolete. Although the barber surgeon's medical practice dwindled in importance, they were still relied upon for dispensing medical herbs and pulling teeth. So medicinal herbs, Miss Lane likes to always remind all of our students, likes to remind me that we are medicine men. She that's the term she likes to, in position she likes to put us in and keep a reminder on. Um, and we were just, we were about healing people, man, and the overall well-being of people. And it grew into more of a fashion and personal grooming and look focus, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like as we look to the future, oftentimes we got to look to the past and say, okay, how can we broaden, the scope of who we are and what we do? Well, let's go back in time and see, all the different things that we did. And so if you ever, want to start thinking, or as you guys start thinking about, okay, as a professional barber, who do I want to be? Who do I want to serve? How do I want to serve? And of course, there's no pressure there, man. Everybody's going to have their own vision, but just know that you can broaden that vision just by taking a step back and looking at what all are the different things that we were able to do for people. And I think today's world, man, is in a position um, of healing, bro. And while our haircuts and our grooming services, are going to help, make them feel good about themselves, man, there's another step that we can take if we chose to. And so I think about, this medicinal herbs, I think it'd be dope, to go in a barbershop that has like, you know, herbs and different like shelves with different herbs and stuff like that, where you can buy different teas, or you can buy different herbs and make teas, or, whatever the case may be. Like, people are into that type of stuff. I don't know if you guys, are familiar with that or not, but like holistic healing and holistic medicine these days is huge. And so I think it'd be super dope if somebody could tie that in somehow to barbering, but just an idea. Now I don't know about pulling teeth. I don't know if nobody want to be pulling teeth in the barbershop. You probably get sued for that. I'm sure that's all the way illegal. All the way illegal. Okay, we talked about the barber pole. So yeah, with that being said, what do you guys think about the future of barbering, man, and that type of connection, or any of the historic connections, and bringing some of that stuff back? Any thoughts on that? No. It's all good. Thought I'd ask. All right, let's see. So I got that out the way. Let me grab this. Make sure I covered everything that I want to cover here. All right, so I'm gonna just talk about these few groups that were established during the late 1800s and then going into the 1900s. We had the master and journeyman barbering groups. We talked about that a little bit. You have the Associated Master Barbers of America, which was organized in Chicago, Illinois, 1924. Eventually expanded to include beauty salon owners and managers, and changing its name to the Associated Master Barbers and Beauticians of America in 1941. Now, this is around the same time that A.B. Moeller had created the first barber school and first, barber text or curriculum, right? That you guys had a chance to look at. It was around that same time. So, and I want to say he was from Chicago as well, right? Was that in Chicago? A.B. Moeller. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so Chicago definitely is a historic place when it comes to barbering. If that's ever, a place you want to go and check out, I know that there's a lot of barber history in that area, as well as I want to say the Andis and Wall Company are both headquartered and founded in the Illinois area as well. Matter of fact, let me see some. I think it might be on this box. Oh, that's Wisconsin. Maybe it's Wall. I think it might be Wall. The Andis one says Wisconsin, so I think it might be Wall. That's in Chicago, or not Chicago, but and then we had the National Association of Barber School, working in cooperation with the Association of Master Barbers and Beauticians. This national association was formed in 1927. They developed a program that standardized the operation of barber schools themselves. And then we had the National Association of State Board of Barber Examiners. This was in St. Paul, Minnesota, 1929. National Association of State Board of Barber Examiners was organized to solidify the qualifications required for barber examination applicants and the methods of evaluation to be used, which I think is huge. I think it was necessary and important to know what is it that these students are being tested on, or examined on in order to become a professional. And I would say today, I can't say that all institutions are examining properly. I can't say that all states even are examining properly. But I feel like we've done a good job of making sure here at CBI that our students are prepared, and we give you guys the proper exams to make sure that you are proficient and confident to go out, as a professional. Not only with hands-on skills, but also with theory and understanding of the craft and the sciences behind the craft, and also the business, acumen to go out there and be successful as a professional. And honestly, guys, I'm gonna be 1,000 with you. I'm gonna say there's probably 10% of schools in the world that are making sure that the students are getting that level of education. 10%, bro, in the world. And I'm gonna say that in regards to not just barbering, but cosmetology as a whole. So I would say again, congratulations to y'all for choosing to come to CBI because we gonna make sure that you get all that you need to go out there and achieve the things that you want to achieve as a barber. So, cool. Let's see what else, man, so we can wrap this up. Any questions, y'all? Nope. Okay, so considering the state of barbering today, man, just I would say since the 20s, 30s, 40s, in those areas, barbering has since then till now has made, so many different strides, advancements, pullbacks, re-emerging again. We've had our ups and our downs, for numerous different reasons. I would say one big reason that happened was like slavery. And I talk about that because the actual barber shop was not something in America. There was a time where the craft itself was looked down upon. It was a lower level job, right? Or a lower level career. Not even, and at some point was looked at not even as a career, right? There was a lot of things that happened during that time that took away the essence, I'd say, of barbering in America anyway. In other places, I can't really speak on as much, but I would say during the time of slavery in America, man, things changed a lot. And so as we progressed out of slavery and barbering started to take a turn, but it was still, since there was so much segregation, um, it still had its struggle, right? But I would say for the African American community, it was a craft that we could, like I said, it was a low barrier of entry. It was something that we could make our own. It's something that we took serious and turned into a business, and were able to excel in that business. I can't, speak a whole lot for um, the white community and how they view barbering, but I know that there weren't as many, during that time, as coming out of slavery, post slavery, and things like that. Because it was looked at as a lower level job, and so as things progressed, I believe in the I would say 50s, 60s, even though the segregation was starting to release, things were changing through civil rights acts and all that different type of stuff. Um, Barbering started to make an even more bounce back in means of entrepreneurship, and people owning barbershops and things like that. And so um, we've taken strides, and we've become more and more respected again as things have progressed across all cultures, right? Um, I think it's become one of those things, again, generational, right? Where now that generational tie to barbering has come back. That gift and that spark to be of service to others in this fashion has come back. And so over the last, like, I would say 30, 40, years, we've really been on an upward trajectory, um, again, as far as business, as far as style and fashion, and as far as, just respect, overall respect, and impact in the community as a whole. And so just to touch on a few things, let's see, 1940 and 50, respected the heyday of American barbershops, with many men visiting their neighborhood shops every 2 weeks to maintain a clean cut appearance. 1960s. Barber services, while still needed during and after the 60s, were called upon less um, through the coming decades as standards for male grooming relaxed and the skill required to cut longer hair was more readily found with hairstylists. And so the Beatles are said to have had a big impact on that. You know, the Beatles, they was a long hair, rock group from London or UK or somewhere like that. And everybody wanted to be like them. You know what I'm saying? And then you also had like the hippie phase, in America where everybody was growing their hair out and beards, was growing out again. And so nobody was going to the barbershop, to get haircuts like that. I ain't say nobody, but, not as many people were going to the barbershop like that. And so if you didn't know how to deal with shears and cut, longer length haircuts and things like that, you were sitting around the barbershop, twiddling your thumbs, or you decided to go into a different profession, right? Because there wasn't no money being made. So I say that to say being prepared as a professional barber for as trends change is extremely important, man. You can't be a one-trick pony. You know what I'm saying? So I encourage all our students to don't get married to one style of cut. You know what I mean? Don't get married to one tool, right? Don't get married to one texture of hair. Like you need to be, qualified to do all different types of hair, all different types of tools, all different types of styles, short, medium, long, right? Oftentimes, throughout the process of you guys learning, we start off with longer hair, right? And you hear people say, I don't want to cut women's hair. I don't want to do women's hair. So just take women's hair out of it and think about long hair, medium length hair, short hair, fades, right? Like that's the process in which we learn. Because you just never want to be in position where if things change, you out of a job because you don't know how to, do medium length hair. You out of a job because you don't know how to cut longer hair, right? Or let's just say your revenue dries up and you're not making as much money because people have changed their look. And I'm sure you guys have seen just with the you said you 20, right? Jans, or you 19?
I'm 19.
19. Okay. So and Alam, you are 25?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I know you guys have seen over time, just in your short lives, styles change. What's been some of the most memorable changes in hairstyles that you've seen so far?
There's more designs.
More designs? Okay. Yep.
Yeah, and like the younger kids, like designs, like the taper with a design. I see more men coloring their hair,
Yep.
like stuff like that.
Yep.
What else?
Absolutely. And so you got both of those. I would say during my time, I saw go from fades with waves to braids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? People just stop cutting their hair, period. They just I just want to line up. I just want to line up. I just want to line up. And it's like, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? You so used to cutting waves, you know what I mean, or shorter haircuts and fades, and then it just went from like I don't know, you guys familiar with Allen Iverson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Allen Iverson set a whole trend with the Allen Iverson braids, right? Like everybody start growing their hair out. If you're into sports, go back to early 2000s, right? And just look at how it transitioned hairstyles. Everybody start growing their hair out, man. It was crazy. You went from everybody have bald, short haircuts, like literally like super short haircuts, to everybody start growing their hair out, and the whole league had braids. The whole NFL had braids. Baseball and not so much. But now what you see is they don't necessarily may not have braids, but everybody has gone to twists. There's so many men with twists these days. Like I've never seen it so much, right? Twists and beards. Beards took a huge, turn in the last, 10, 15 years. Everybody had big beards in the last 10 years or so. And so if you didn't know how to groom a beard and do nice facial hair grooming, you missing out on money. Now, I don't do twists, right? I'm not a professional in that at all. And so that's one I just have to miss out on. But again, if someone knew how to do twists and these different types of locks and things like that, man, you in the game. And we talking about straighter hair, right? Right now you got this Edgar cut that's like a big deal, right? You guys talked about the tapers with the designs and the tape. That's a big deal with the Edgar cut on top. A couple years ago, it was the French crop. It was a straighter haircut with the fade and a lot of texture in the top. If you didn't know how to work that cut, man, you was missing out. So they gonna go find somebody that know how to do that cut. A few years before that, it was the comb over with the hard part. You guys remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
That was huge. If you didn't know how to work that cut or do that cut, you was missing out. And so, like now, as things progress, you have to really keep your eye open to what's going on in the streets and what's going on trend wise, because that's what you want to be on top of, so you don't miss out. So when those clients, because it's usually younger people, right? It's usually that teenage to young adult, hot college age that's coming in asking for that, and there's a lot of them. And so you don't want to have that influx of clientele coming to the shop asking for this particular thing, and you have to tell them, no, I don't know how to do that. Man, that's not a good feeling there, And so, again, being prepared for trends. I remember even the Jerry curl. I wasn't around back then as far as professional go. I was a kid, but in our community, the Jerry curl was a huge thing, and so people went from like afros to the curl. And so if you didn't know how to put no curling rods and relaxer in somebody here to give them a curl, you was missing out. So a lot of barbers ended up going that route. I don't know if things were as strict back then as far as what barbers could do and what they couldn't do. We're talking about the 80s, right? On whether or not you could use chemicals or not. But these days, in Oregon, barbers are not allowed to use chemicals. So if that was to come back, most barbers, we'd have to sit that one out. So anyway, in a nutshell, always be prepared for times that change, because we don't want to be left out. Let's see. 1980s, longer hairstyles became more mainstream and less associated with social or political ideologies. There was a rise of unisex salons starting in the 1980s, which further threatened the livelihood of barbers, pulling clients away with the offer of fast, cheap hair services. And I would also throw out there, just people like to go, especially when there's a lot of maybe there's a cut, there's a style, there's a chemical service all in one. They don't want to have to go to 3 different places to get that done. People, they enjoy being able to go to a one-stop shop. And so that's something to keep in mind as well. 1980s, full-service salons and shops rocketed in popularity, drawing even more men away from barbershops. Maybe in some places. I feel like people were still going to the barbershop. Definitely here, in Portland, we had a number of barbershops in the 90s. I think everybody was successful in that. Men wanted to go to the barbershops, and women went to the beauty salon. And these days, that holds true as well. I feel like we are starting to see, for whatever reason, and I think it's just people not taking the craft as serious as they should, will often drive someone to look for services in another environment. I feel like the barbershop, at some point in time, it was a men's place to be, right? Meaning that whatever went on in the barbershop, like it was men only, like, you know what I'm saying? We talked about whatever men wanted to talk about, however men wanted to talk about it. There was really no filter. And these days that can get out of hand. Like people are just way too free with the things that they are willing to talk about in the environment that they, in the culture that they create within the barbershop. And so that's not conducive to everybody's vibe. Not everybody wants to come into a barbershop and hear all types of cussing and hear all types of talking about women and, any old type of way that you want to talk about them, you know what I mean? Or talking to, if you have, your views on, politics or sexual orientations and all these different types of things, where you can have all the feelings that you want. It's not always conducive to a business environment, right? Because nonetheless, yes, it's the barbershop, but this is a business environment. And so there was a time nobody cared. They said and spoke their mind on everything. But now you can't necessarily get away with that and have a successful business, right? So yeah, people are leaving. People have left certain shops looking for a different environment due to, those reasons. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that we've started to get a rein on that and starting to paint a picture, for the next generation of barbers to understand, like, your space has to be conducive and comfortable for the majority of people. Now, it ain't gonna always be comfortable for everybody, right? And that's okay. It ain't got to be comfortable for everybody. You will want it to be comfortable for those that find value in what you do and want to come to your space and they vibe with the culture that you're creating. And you want that to be the majority of people. And I feel like, we've gotten better with that. But do know that everybody ain't gonna like it, and that's okay too. I want those that like it to like it, and those that don't, please find a place that you do like. But yeah, that has took some people away from the shop, and hopefully those things will turn around as people create cultures and vibes that bring in as many people as possible. I think that's the whole goal. Okay, so let's see. After the turn of the century, a resurgence of barbering took place. New schools opened in many states, along with new barbershops, both independent and franchise. The salons as far as of the 90s lost their attractiveness, and barbershops to offer an atmosphere more geared to the male customer. That's what's going on today. 2010 and beyond saw a massive return of beards and beard designs. I was talking about that. Accompanied by a concern for facial grooming as part of a larger interest in cultivating personal style that includes hair, body, art, clothing, and more. So I think that's, again, taking a rear view almost to some of the great parts or the greatness about our history, and now starting to bring some of that back into the barbershop, and being able to offer more than just a haircut, I'd say, but being able to offer atmosphere, culture, other types of services, being able to offer other types of products as well. I think all of that enhances who we are as professionals. I think our clients enjoy being able to come to a shop that they can vibe with, that they can connect with, that they can make some different purchases at. You know what I'm saying? Like, they can support in different ways. It becomes like a all-inclusive type of thing. It becomes a community, right? And that's ultimately what we want to be able to do, is be that pillar in the community where people can be a part of something. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, barber history, we got a lot to us, y'all. And we got a lot more to do. So any questions, man, or anything y'all want to add? Any thoughts?
Nah, just what you were saying about the barbershop atmosphere, like, because that goes both ways. It goes for the barber too, right? Because some barbers nowadays, they be in their own suite or little room, and it's just them and their client.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a tough one. You know, that's a tough one, man. But how do you feel? How do you feel about the suites?
Uh, I don't mind it.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see like maybe why a barber would want to have their own suite instead of like working at a shop. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
pros and cons,
Yeah.
like maybe they don't really have much control over like the barbershop owner who like you said, he sets like, let's just say he lets everyone just speak unfiltered, and like
Mm-hmm.
there's like moms with kids that bring them in for haircuts. Maybe they might not like that, so they're like, oh, I'm just gonna go work at get a suite, and then I can like run my own things how I want.
Yeah, and that's tough, man. I think about that, and it's like the lack of control, you know, being the determining factor of whether a barber wants to be in a barbershop or go be in a suite. I mean, that's a tough situation, man. And I feel like it does our craft a disservice, um, that a owner, you know, wouldn't set some type of tone, um, you know, create a culture that's, you know, comfortable for the moms. For I mean, because that's the reality, guys. These days, a lot of moms bring their sons to the barbershop. You know, that's just what it is, man. It's a lot of fathers that aren't around, for whatever reason, you know, and the mom is the one who's bringing them, or even the grandma, you know, are bringing them, and we have to be mindful of that, you know, and we have to respect, um, you know what I'm saying, that situation. And for anyone to just kind of like brush that off and say, man, she chose to come in here. I ain't gonna switch up what I'm saying just because she here. I mean, that's a selfish,
Mm-hmm.
super selfish and ignorant, in my opinion, you know, mindset to have. And, you know, that type of mindset forcing, you know, barbers that have some respect about themselves out of the barbershop. I hate that so much. Um, and yeah, that's just a terrible situation, man. And I know some they have left barbershops due to that. And it's just sad, that that's the case. That they got to go and be isolated in order to have a safe space for, you know, the clients, and not only the parents but the young people too. You know, like what I just feel like what type of person can brush all of that off just to be able to speak it the way they want to speak, or to play the music that they want to play, or, you know, like that's just, it doesn't make any sense to me. And so I often think about it like this though too, um, and I think I might have spoke on this in the orientation, but, you know, while you guys aren't kids, um, I do look at it as you when you're teaching somebody something, you know, they're being raised, right? When I say raised, it's not on no, like I said, like no kid level. It's you're being raised to a new level of understanding. You're being raised to a new level of technique, right? You're being raised to a new level, and becoming a professional, right? And so it all depends on how somebody was raised, man. Just like if it was a household, like certain people act a certain way in public based on how they was raised. You know what I mean? And so professional barbers, same way. How was you raised, bro? What household did you come up in regards to learning what it meant to be a professional barber, right? And so I feel like that's how I treat my education with you guys, you know what I'm saying, and with all of our alumni and our students. Is like I treat it like I'm raising y'all up, you know what I'm saying, to be the professionals that you're going to be. Of course, you're going to be an individual, right? You have your own personality, and how you're going to do what you do, but a lot of what you're getting, um, on what it means to be a professional is coming from here, man. And so I have a responsibility, to make sure that y'all get it the right way. And again, like I talked about, that 10% of educators, of schools. Hey, man, ain't nobody thinking like that, man. 90% of people are not thinking. They just aren't. And unfortunately, that's in our public school system too. But I'll leave that for another day. Um, But yeah, man. So nonetheless, we're gonna make sure that that is done right. Yeah. Um, so y'all don't have to resort to going to suites unless you want to. I don't knock suites. I think it's a little isolated though. I think they're short lived when it comes to barbering. Um, you know, I think barbers think it's the answer, and it could be a short term answer. But I think overall, at a certain point, they get bored of it. Clients get bored of it, um, and they look for something else at some point. Okay. Well, I think that might be all I want to cover with the barber history, man. Um, anything come to mind for y'all? No? Good? I have not, Miss Lane. But I do know what's next, though. Thank you. Cool. So we're gonna move it on, man. Um, how'd you guys do with filling out your SMART goals for level 1? Did you guys get a chance to start on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So did you turn a copy in?
Yep.
Okay, cool. I'll be checking that out. Just know all the work that you guys turn in, I'll be checking out throughout the week. So you'll be getting feedback from myself and from Ms. Lane on the assignments. You should get a notification when it's returned to you. So it'll be returned to you through Google Classroom as well. So you guys should get a notification on that. And any type of feedback that we have, we'll share it with you guys. So let's move on to, let me pull up this wisdom and significance real quick. Matter of fact, let's take a quick 5-minute break, y'all. We've been going for a minute. So let's take a quick 5-minute break, and then we'll jump back at it. Cool?
Sounds good.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Be right back. So Ms. Lane, should I pause the recording? Yeah? I'm back, fellas. Both of y'all back?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, so we're gonna talk about, I just had it up. Let's see here. We got visualizing success and top 10 strengths. And building your strengths. So the assignments are your top 10 strengths. We want you to do that assignment. Have you guys had a chance to look over that?
Yeah.
Okay, and the visualizing success as well?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Any questions on those assignments?
No.
No? Pretty clear?
Yeah.
Cool. So I wanted to read this quote that comes along with this visualizing success. They said, visualize this thing that you want, see it, feel it, believe in it, make your mental blueprint, and begin to build. Okay. And I think that is very important as you guys, because this time that we have together, while in the onset, it may seem like, man, we got a whole year. It goes by really fast. Right. And so I want you guys to start now in thinking about, what does my vision of success look like while I'm in school, once I finish school, a year after, 5 years down the line. Start kind of, envisioning what does success look like to you? What am I going to do with the skill set that I'm learning today? Right? Look at it on a level of, what am I going to do with it, behind the chair? My results of what I do behind the chair, what am I going to do with that? You know what I'm saying? As I build and grow and become great as a professional barber, what's next for me? You know what I'm saying? What am I gonna do with that success? Right. And I think it's gonna suit you guys so much better to have a vision for that early. Like it says here, it's a blueprint. So once you have that vision, you have that blueprint, you have something to strive for. You know, you have something every day. I'm getting up because I'm going towards this vision that I have of success. Right. I think oftentimes a lot of very talented barbers don't get out of barbering what they truly could. They don't reach their fullest potential because they haven't really had a visual of success. They don't really know what success looks like for them, other than, you know, I'm gonna get certified. I'm gonna go to school, become a professional barber, get into a barbershop, make money, and now what? Okay, you're making the money. Now what? All right. And oftentimes when you don't have a plan or you don't have a vision, you kind of let the chips fall where they may. And oftentimes the chips don't always fall in your favor. Right. So that being said, I want you guys to, you know, start now. Because the benefit definitely will be in your favor. Okay. So how do we do that? Writing your goals down. You know, we started off with the SMART goals, right? You guys are already, you know, now prior to this, how often would you say that you like wrote your goals down?
Does texting it to someone count?
Yes.
Okay, well,
I mean,
that's like
yes,
once. It's very
because
rare.
you got it out of your mind.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you typed it out, so that's a start. Okay. So you said, I'm sorry, I didn't hear exactly when you said does it after you said it doesn't work. Did you say something else after that?
Oh, about after texting it?
Yeah, you said does.
Oh, no, yeah. I don't think most people, because the reason I texted it was because my friend, he's like, he's like, yeah, most people don't really hold themselves to a high account regarding to goals. So if you tell someone, it's like it puts pressure on yourself to like, because someone else knows your goal and it puts pressure on you to like actually stick to them and go get them.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. 100%. How about you, Jan? You don't mind me calling you Jan, do you? For
No,
sure.
it's cool.
All right, cool. Some people like, man, that's not my name.
It's rare too. Like I don't really be talking about what my vision is to people. I feel like people don't care. So I just keep it to myself.
Yeah. And it's, you know, and it's okay either way, right? But the writing it down part, even if you do keep it to yourself, the writing it down part is just something about it going from your mind to a piece of paper. You know what I'm saying? I can't explain it, but it's in front of you. It's visual, right? And it's something that you can now hold yourself accountable to, especially if you put a date to it. You know what I'm saying? Or something like that. Now I have a means of being accountable with this goal. So I would just advise you, bro, like take advantage of this SMART goal worksheet, you know, and maybe you don't have the people around you, you know, right now that you care to share your goals with, you know, verbally. That's cool, nothing wrong with that. But in conversation with yourself, it helps to write it down. So you can look back on it and say, did I do all the things that I could have done to make this happen? If you did, cool. Congratulate yourself, pat on the back, go have you some ice cream or something, and get to the next goal, right? Celebrate yourself real quick, however you choose to celebrate yourself. I really believe in celebrating ourselves. You'll hear me talk about that all the time here at the school once you guys get to the building. Even online, you guys are here, but celebrate yourself, man. Like no small achievement should go uncelebrated. Now, you can't celebrate for a long time, you know what I'm saying? But acknowledge it, celebrate it, and move on to the next thing. And so, but anyway, it gives you a chance. That SMART goal worksheet gives you a chance to do that. If you haven't completed it, you didn't reach it, it gives you an opportunity to say, okay, well, why not? What can I change to make sure that I get this met this next time frame that I set for myself? What can I eliminate, or what can I add to help me reach this goal? And man, it's a science to success, y'all. You know what I'm saying? But it's not always easy, but it can be simple, right? And so I would say this as well. There's a term that you'll hear: success leaves clues. Success leaves clues. And so when you look at other people that have gotten to where you've gotten to, right, kind of say, what did they do? How did they get there? Goal setting is one of them. You know what I'm saying? Goal setting is one of them. Like you said, Alam, sharing it with people that you know that hold you accountable as well, right? I was very that was something that I like to do. Like in the barbershop, I always was talking about visions that I had. Man, I want to do this. I want to do that. Other people be like, man, you should keep your stuff to yourself, because people, they'll hate on you, or people will say, no, you can't do that, or why you want to do that. But for me, it was more so like, I'm putting it out there, so now I have to do it. I done told all these people I'm going to, open up a second location. I done told these people I'm going to open up a third location. I done told all these people I'm going to open up a shop. Bro, I've been saying it, now I got to do it. You know what I mean? And so I would say use that to your advantage. Alam, I'm right with you, man. Use that. Told your partner about it. Now he going to ask you about it. You know what I'm saying? Hey, what happened to that? You get that done? If you got somebody like that in your corner, that's a plus. That's a plus for sure. Okay, so write your goals down. Talk to yourself. Nothing wrong with talking to yourself, man. Right? Sometimes we got to be our own cheerleader. You know what I'm saying? We got to be the person that tell us to get up and come on and do it and make it happen. We got to be the person that says, you know what, man, it's okay. It didn't work out this time, man. Get up and go back at it again. We don't always have somebody that's going to encourage us and go push us to the next level. You know what I mean? Or we got enough negative people around us that we the only positive one, you know what I'm saying, that's talking to us. And so tell ourselves what it is that we want. Tell ourselves what it is that we can do and what we can be and where we're going to be, 5 years from now. I've been telling myself that I see myself on a big old yacht with all my friends and family, having an amazing party, you know what I mean, just celebrating life. I've been saying that for a long time. It hasn't happened yet, but I feel like I'm getting closer and closer. And there's been times I could have did it. You know what I'm saying? I was in pocket to do it, but it wasn't time yet, I guess. But that's something I've been painting that picture to where it's so crystal clear. I've been painting it for years, man. But that's going to be a big celebration of life for me. I don't know when I got a feeling it might be my 50th birthday. But I got a few years to go. But simple stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever your type of vision for this, like close your eyes and really, see what it is you want for yourself and talk it out, say it, be your own best, encourager and motivator. It's necessary. Do you guys talk to yourself? I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, it's okay. You know what I mean? Some people, I remember back in the day, they painted like you was crazy if you talk to yourself. What? That you talk to yourself. What do you mean? They think you're crazy. But no, man. Some of the most impactful, most successful people that of our times and prior, man, they always had good conversations with themselves. You know what I mean? When we're talking about being real with yourself or keeping it under with yourself, like you got to talk to yourself sometimes. You know what I mean? You got to ask yourself, if this what you really want? Is, how come you didn't step up in this situation, or next time this situation come up, this is how we got to attack it. Like you got to be able to do that, man. It's okay. Now, if you talking to yourself in a whole bunch of different voices, then we might need to get you checked out. But I've seen some people, man, that I'm like, whoa, like that. Yeah, it's some mental illness stuff out there that some people be dealing with. But if it's all on the positive and it's coming from you direct, you good to go. All right, let's see what else we got. Visualize your short term and long term. Now I was talking about, like as far as you guys is in school, that's a great short term. I mean, even if you went level one, if you went this month, next month, those are great short term. Even if it's, I mean, if you're challenging yourself for something or you want to see a result of something in a shorter span, this week, tomorrow, whatever it may be, those short term goals are good. Again, being able to accomplish repeatedly, you know what I'm saying, and have success repeatedly helps us, for one, feel good about ourselves, build confidence about ourselves, build courage to keep going to the next day or to the next week. So nothing wrong with very short term. And then we talk about long term stuff, and if you don't have that goal set out, again, what are we reaching for? We don't quite know. And so that's been something for me that's turned out to be one of my best allies is goal setting, and really having a vision for short term and long term. Next 5 years, I want to do this. 10 years from now, I want to do this. And I found pretty good success. Still got some work to do for sure for my big long term goals, but it's necessary, fellas. And it definitely helps. Let's see. I think that's the last one on here, man. When you guys think about visualizing success, man, what are some of the things that come to mind for y'all? Then we gonna wrap this up so I don't have y'all here all day.
Like examples of what we envision, or
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm up for it.
I guess financial freedom is one big one.
Mm-hmm.
Not having to, or just having freedom in general, not having to like, oh, how I'm gonna afford this or
Mm-hmm.
stuff in that aspect. Like I want to work when I want to work.
Yep. Yep. And I'm gonna tell you, I got a few things that I'm gonna share with y'all, man, over time, right? But the biggest seed I'm gonna plant is have the least amount of debt as you can, and only have debt in things that are going to bring cash flow, right? Or going to bring appreciation. If you do have debt in things that are depreciating, make sure you get rid of it as soon as you can. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't hold, like, when you don't owe people stuff, that's that freedom, right? That means the money that you make, you can do whatever, you can do what you want to do with it, right? Because you don't owe nobody nothing, right? So some people feel like they got to make a whole lot of money in order to be free. Not necessarily. When the money that you make doesn't have to go to someone else, right? You can still make you don't have to make a whole boatload of money if you get to keep the majority of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So while I want y'all to make as much as you can, make it all. But just know that if you do that and you still got to give a large portion of it to someone else, what does it really matter, So keep that in mind. But I feel you. That's I want that vision of success to come true for you. It will too. I got some other things I'm gonna share with y'all, as time goes along that you can supplement, income with, man, to make life a whole lot easier. And if you guys start now, it'll be that much easier for y'all. And that's another big part of why I do this is because I want to give the next generation of a head start, so to speak. You know what I'm saying, or like at least just a catapult. You know what I'm saying? Like you guys should be able to have some upside that you don't have to take as long. That's what it's about. Like you shouldn't have to take as long to achieve the things that I have achieved. If I can help y'all and give y'all the game, it shouldn't take you as long. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't have to spend as much time going through it. You know what I mean? When the process can be shared with you. So that's another big part of what I like to do with our students as well. So good stuff. How about you, Jan? So you got what's your vision of success?
I mean, debt free is one of them, definitely, but
Mhm.
I feel like uh building businesses would be a great success, in my
Yes,
opinion,
I agree with you. Um,
and grow as a person, um, be
mhm,
a better version of yourself.
absolutely,
So yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. And the cool thing, man, both of you guys, you got a few years on them, Alon, but you guys just getting started, man. And so you can make a lot of progress very, very fast, you know, because you're aware of what it is that you want to do. It's hard to make progress when you're not really aware. You're just kind of going through going with the flow and um, what's the word the phrase I was thinking of? Kind of going with the motions. You know what I mean? But when you're aware of what's going on and how you can actually, all right, if I do this, this is gonna be a result, and then I do this, and then this is gonna be a result, as opposed to just kind of floating through life. Um, man, you can make progress so fast, so fast. So I look forward to that for y'all. I look forward to that. Um, one of the other we running up on 12:30. So one of the other wisdom and significance was building your strengths. And so did you guys do the top 10 strengths as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Who did you guys ask anybody around you to help you with that, or were you able to come up with it yourself?
Just just regarding one, it's just something that in my past experience, like people said I had. So
Hmm.
I just wrote that one down, and then the other ones I just picked them myself.
Okay. Okay. Cool. And I'm gonna read them when like I said, when I check you guys' homework. But how about you, Jans? Did you
Um, I'm struggling with
get to
that one.
that
I
one?
only got two down,
Okay.
but through time, yeah, I feel like I can get some up.
Okay. You got some trusted folks around you that you can ask what you think or what they think some of your strengths are.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I think that always helps. Because sometimes, man, a lot of the things that we see as strengths, or let's just say the things that other people see as strengths, we don't really pay a lot of attention to. And so we don't really look at them as strengths. It's just like something I know how to do. Or it's just natural, right? But other people see it like, nah, man, you're very strong in that area. So yeah, so people that you trust, man, go ahead and ask them what they think. It might unfold some things, or unveil some things, should I say? And so, yeah, man, using those strengths to your advantage, man, is key. It definitely will help you guys out as well. And then the things that you may not be as strong at as well, man, you can build on those. Man, so that's what I want you guys to take advantage of your strengths, but also uh, try to build on the things that you may not be as strong at, because overall they're just gonna make you stronger, right? Um, so make sure you guys finish that one up, and I'll definitely check on the homework there. And then the last one is, I believe it was the staying true to yourself. That sound right?
That was the extra content you guys had on the classroom, on
Okay,
the classroom
but
stuff,
there
right?
there was no assignment for that
Yeah, I don't think so.
though. Okay, cool. And so what we'll do is we'll talk about that one. We don't have to talk about that right now. We'll talk about that at the beginning of the week next week. But I think that that's definitely something that, as you come into the barber industry, and as you guys just grow, as me and staying true to yourself is important. And you kind of learn who you are as you get older, you know what I mean, and as you mature. Especially, Jans, being that you're 19, not saying that age is what brings about maturity, but um the more you experience, the more you know about yourself, right? And so, the more you know about yourself, the more you say, okay, this is what this is what I'm about. This is what I'm not about. These are the things that I'm not willing to, sacrifice or bend on, or these are the things that I'm gonna always make sure are in the forefront of my decision making, whatever the case may be, right? But as you come into this industry, there's a lot of copycats. There's a lot of social media is very, very influential, and so people get an idea of what they think barbering is or what they should be in barbering. And so my stance on that is think about who you want to be, right? And you ultimately can cultivate the person, you know what I'm saying, as a barber, you know what I mean? Because oftentimes you not saying it's you're two different people, but as a barber, this is what I do and how I do it, right? You in control of that. No one else is in control of that. And the only times you lose control of that is when you pay so much attention to other people and how they do it, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna just be like that. And I'm gonna say you're most valuable when you're truly authentic to yourself. And so while we can take bits and pieces from what we see and what we like, we never want to be a carbon copy, of anyone, because you'll be just that, just a carbon copy, never the original. So, yeah, stay true to yourself, man. We'll talk about that more next week. But man, how y'all feeling?
Good.
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 Yanshi, good.
Yes, sir.
Cool, man. I hate that Jeremy wasn't here for our introductory day or week, but hopefully he'll be here next week. We'll be going into chapter 10, I believe, next week. Don't.
Yeah, the order you guys have it, that's the way we're gonna go, right? On the
Yep.
Okay, because
Is that what it is? Or am I wrong or am I right?
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's chapter 10 and
Yeah, scalp diseases and disorders. So this one, so like barbering, this is just the 1 week, right? I want to say chapter 10 is 2 weeks long because there's a lot within that chapter, and we don't like to gloss over that. It's very important that we understand diseases and disorders of the scalp. So yeah, dive on in, guys, on that, and yeah, man, we'll be back out it next Monday. Same time, same place.
Yeah, I have a question. I kind of asked Mrs. Lane earlier. Are we allowed to like work ahead in regards to like the book, like the My
Yeah.
Lady stuff? Yeah, because I
Well,
saw
it's
that chapter
only
10 is pretty like it's pretty big and there's like a lot of sections. I'm like, if I have the time, like, can I get a head
yeah,
start?
yeah, definitely, man. Get into it as much as you have time to. And get into it as much as you have time to. And yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And so because it's so much material. And also if you go into the book, I mean into the SEMA app, the Milady, there's a lot of work that you can do, like different projects or activities that you can do that aren't in the book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, go on to the SEMA online, and you'll find a lot of stuff to keep you busy for sure. Was there anything else?
That was all for me.
Okay, cool. Jans, you got anything?
Oh, I'm good. Thank you, though.
Okay, perfect. Cool, man. Well, I think that wraps it up, y'all. And I enjoyed, this first day, and I look forward to next week.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll see y'all then, man. Y'all enjoy the sunshine while we got it, and I'll holler at y'all Monday.
Yeah, likewise.
All right.
Cool.
Have a good one.
Talk to y'all soon.